the Kiwi Ears upgrade cable, Cadenza, and Canta. Let's talk about them. Hello, today we are going to talk about the Kiwi Ears Cadenza, Kiwi Ears Canta, and their brand new Kiwi Ears upgrade cable. This is a beautiful cable that I have in hand, and I think it makes a compelling option with some of its features that it has. This cable costs around $45 depending on where you're at. It's really nice. It has some great features. It's built very durably, and it's built to not make a ton of noise, which is a great feature of this cable. Now, it doesn't come with too much, but it does have a 4.4 connector that is included with it. This 4.4 connector can be changed out pretty readily. Swapping this connector is quite easy. It's easy to pull out, and when you put it back on, it's not too hard to line up. It only goes in one way, so putting it back on is quite easy. This cable has a nice red dot for right, blue dot for left. It feels silky, smooth, and it behaves well. It has a nice Y split and chin slider that actually functions. I like the look and feel of it. It almost looks like a glistening oil, and I think it has a very nice feel on the skin, and I think it's one of the nicer cables out there that looks and feels more expensive than it is. These are the cables that are included with the Cadenza and Canta here being on the right, and this is our upgrade cable. So to me, it is a nice little upgrade, and it's really worth it. It feels and looks really nice. I like the feel of it on the hand. I'm not a huge believer in that cables will change the sound of an IEM, but they certainly can help enhance your experience by making the cable less prone to tangle, less likely to break, being more durable, are all things that I think an upgrade cable should be. And I find this to be an exceptional cable, and like as nice as that kind of cables that would be on $300 IEMs. Now, one of the most recommended IEMs out there under $50 is the Cadenza. It's been a while since I've tried the Cadenza. It comes in a lot of colors. This is the blue Cadenza with our upgrade cable on it. And I want to say that it sounds really nice. It has quite a sufficient amount of bass, a little bit of upper mids, and has a nice amount of clarity and detail for its price. I think it works really well. To get it to work, I'd have to use the elliptic Baroque tips, as every other tip I found to be slipping out. It doesn't have a very solid and sturdy fit in my ear, but I do like this IEM, and I think it is a nice experience with this cable, and I think this cable matches well with pretty much any 2-pin cable connector, and it looks and feels great on the body. Let's look at some graphs of the Kiwi Ears Cadenza and make some comparisons. Alright, as we look at the Cadenza, it has a nice amount of bass, it has a nice amount of upper mids, but it is a little bit maybe off to maybe what I would want ideally, but it does sound and look and feel really nice in ear. It's a really clean, smooth IEM that I think a lot of people are going to like. It doesn't have the greatest treble extension and detail. Its highs are not as crispy as you might want, but I would say it's a nice, fine IEM and a great baseline to start with. Let's do some comparisons. If we compare this to something like the Canta, my problem with the Canta is it does have a lot of 8K, which can kind of cause some sharpness. It does have quite a bit of upper treble spike, which can be a little bit fatiguing and a little bit much for some people. I think the Canta can be a fine IEM that I think could work for people, and it does have nice treble and a little bit more extended up here, and I think there's some good things about the Canta that people are going to like. I think its technicalities are a bit better than something like the Cadenza, but it may not be my favorite IEM. I probably would go with the Kiwi Ears Rosa, though it's about the same price as that. As far as we look at the Cadenza, one of my most interesting comparisons I did when I first got in the hobby was comparing the Cadenza to the Monarch MK3. You'll notice they have a lot of similarities in their graph, almost the same amount of bass shelf and nice upper mids. What are the other things out there the Cadenza has to compete with? There's a lot of other IEMs from other brands like KZ. Sometimes you can get the KZ EDC Pro for $15. It does have a lot more sub bass, but it also has pretty nice upper mids and maybe a little bit of 8K. I've noticed a lot of KZ IEMs have a lot of 8K, and that's kind of something to note. So, I mean, value is kind of one of those things you have to ask yourself, what brand do you want? What do you need from your IEMs? Do you want to be able to easily upgrade to the cable that I just showed you, or do you really just want an IEM that's cheap? There might be cheaper IEMs out there, but it's always hard to really find out what's going to work for you and what's best for you, especially if you're just looking for a one and done IEM. But I think the Kiwi Cadenza is a classic and is worthy of its title, best under $50 by the community, which I think is a really awesome accomplishment. If we look at some of the other things out there, like the Kiwi Ears Bunny, I do think there's something to be said about the Bunny is that it doesn't have a ton of bass, and the Cadenza does have a really nice amount of bass. The fit for me on the Bunny is a little bit better. The bass isn't as nice. I think the upper detail and clarity are maybe a smidget better, but not much better. And I still think either one of these IEMs could be really good for you, especially if you're just looking for a gift or something to give to a friend who's starting the hobby. I think either of these could do really well, but the color choices, the bass levels, and the branding and a 2-pin cable connector that's easy to swap, because one on the Tangent Bunny is also not easy to swap. So the Cadenza offers a lot of value because the ability to swap cables and its other possible designs that you could choose from. IEM cables are a funny thing. Sometimes they're worth the upgrade for the ability to swap plugs. Sometimes they're worth it for the look, feel, and durability. You got to ask yourself, how much is it worth it to you? To me, sometimes a $50 and $100 cable can really help, and I think this is a good cable, and it gets a full recommendation for those that want it. Thanks for watching my video. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye for now.
Go!
Go!
Go on with you!
You're mid, you're mid, you're mid, you're legendary. You're mid. Check this out.